Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to another episode of FDR Logging, because that is who we are and that's what we're doing. Alrighty, so last time we were playing, we were just starting on this block. It actually started glitching out really bad, frame rate drops and such, so we kind of stopped, which was really weird that we were getting frame rate drops. I still haven't figured that one out, because we weren't really cutting that much, but we're going to try to maybe continue cutting down this hill a little bit, and then I'll process some more stuff. Also, in the last video I recorded, I was showing off the 3.0 mod update, and I was like all excited about it. And I noticed that the buncher head was acting kind of crappy, and I was like, oh man, this is kind of glitchy. I didn't say anything, but I just noticed it was kind of like, oh, this feels weird. Anyway, right after I recorded that video, I got a whole bunch of bug reports sent in from people going, what the hell happened to the buncher? The buncher doesn't work properly. And I'm like, what? And I went back in and I looked at it, and I'm like, sure enough, yeah, that's the issues I was having. I was like, man, something's not right here. So I dug into it. You know what happened? So before mod release, which was like hours before I made that video, I had actually done some testing on weight reduction in the buncher head. Just as a test, like I was just playing around. And normally what I'll do is I'll open the documents and I will like mess with the script, mess with the physics, play with stuff. But then I close them out, or I Control-Z them back to regular, like how I had it when I started. Because I like to experiment and try different things to kind of see if we can improve or change things. And I guess I forgot to Control-Z those, so I uploaded them into the mod pack like that, and there was like no weight on the buncher head, so it was like super freaking glitchy, like really, really glitchy, jumping all over the place, acting like a fool. So that's why it was all glitched out, but I just totally humanized that. I made a boo-boo. It's the joy. Well, at least you guys know I'm not AI or a robot, because I effed up. So that was bad. Anyways, so that's what happened. Because yeah, it was funny, I was playing and I'm like, man, like this is kind of weird. I was actually losing focus on my subject I was talking about, because I was like, man, why is my buncher head just like acting like a dog's breakfast here? But now, as you can see, it is back to full beauty again, and we're all happy, so it's good. Anyway, today's subjects, we got two, because one will be really quick, and the other will be, I don't know, I'll just drag it on. So the first one, first question I get all the time, why, FDR, why do your high cab machines cabs not fold down? And for people that don't know what that means, I will show you what that means really quickly here. So on high cab machines, so this loader over here, this 880 is a high cab machine. So in real life, there is a pin, which you'll see right here. There's this little pin clip that goes onto each side, and you see that little pin on that end, a pin on that end. And this whole square piece folds straight down, like flat onto the ground, well, not onto the ground, but forward over the tracks. So that looks like just one long rectangle. So basically that whole head comes down. I've had a few people say, well, why doesn't your machine do that? So the reason they do that in real life is so that the cab height is lowered. So basically it makes it so that the cab is almost the same height as the back of the machine, so it's all just one long rectangle on the low bed. And the reason for that is because lots of areas, when you're traveling on the highway or in towns or wherever you're bringing these machines, the cab is over legal height. So if you're going under a bridge, you're going to hit that cab. It's way over the legal height of what the requirements are for hauling on the highway, and basically anywhere on civilized highway. So that's why it goes down. Now in this game, first of all, I don't think there's anywhere on any of the maps, at least none of my maps and none of the maps you'd be using this on, where there is a bridge where you need that. Secondly, in real life, and the reason I know this is because I've actually done it in real life. So if you're moving from block to block in a small backroadsy area or up and cut blocks, you don't put the cab down 99.9% of the time. I've been in low bed trucks with the drivers moving from areas to other areas for 4 to 5 hour drives, and we don't put the cab down for that if it's on a non-regulated highway road where there's no bridges. It's not about weight, although having the weight of the cab lower is beneficial. That's not what it's about. It's all about the height, because the height of the cab is too high for legal transport. So I don't do that in this game because, one, it's adding one more thing that people, another button that I'd have to configure for people, which again, that's not a big deal. It's just there's no real reason for it. And two, like I said, there's nowhere really that you need to do that. So I know I get that comment from several people going, oh, it's dumb that you can't lower the cabs. And it's like, well, some modders have chosen to lower the cabs on them to do low bedding and movement. I just do not see the purpose for it. It doesn't change the physics of the machine. In this case, the game's weight distribution does not change on the machine, so it's not beneficial to the ground physics weight-wise, so there's no purpose there. And there's not really a lot of maps where you're going to need that. Now, I'm not saying there's no maps. Maybe there's a map out there somebody created with hundreds of low bridges and no way to get around them, and the only way is to get a low cab. And whatever. For those very few that are out there, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. But I try to simplify things. People say the same things, like, why do the doors on the machines not open? They want to be able to have the back doors swing open and the side doors swing open and the joysticks move and just all those little features and stuff. And I get it. It's neat to have extra features. But for me, it just seems like added stuff that really doesn't make a big difference. The joysticks are another one. I was actually going to add the joysticks, and that might happen. I'm not saying no to the joystick movement. I think for me, playing this game, and I've had this conversation with the logging crew, and I've had this conversation with guys, we already have the joysticks on our desks moving. Like, the joysticks are here. I'm looking at them. I'm not even looking at these in the cab. I'm looking out my window, and my joysticks are physically in my hands moving. So I'm watching them move out of my peripherals right now while I'm swinging this cab around and looking. So I don't need a second set moving around in the cab with me to make this like three-dimensional multi-joystick movement thing. I get people that are playing on Xbox. Maybe it's different because you want to have your Xbox controls showing the movement of the cabs or something. I don't know. Anyway, I just don't do it. That's the reason. Less things moving, less performance, less things to have to worry about. I don't know. It just silly things. So yeah, the cab movement, no real reason for it. I try to make things simple and not in like stupid. Like I get things like the processor are complicated because you actually use these movements purposefully. You know, the joysticks moving the cab or not moving the cab has no effect on the actual experience of the machine itself. It's just a visual thing. The arms on this moving, so these arms moving, the claws moving on the back, the rollers moving up and down, all have a physical property with the actual stuff that we're cutting, right? So me closing these, that has a physical effect on the logs and the physics. Same with raising, lowering the head. All of those buttons have a reason. If they didn't have a reason and they were just for pleasure use, I wouldn't have them on there because we have so many buttons that we have to configure already in this game that I hate adding more buttons because there's already so many emails I get from people fighting about, why do you have so many buttons? I want it to be easier. I want it to be one button just to make it easy. Why do you have to have so many things? So then when I get extra people going, well, why don't you add a top saw on the processor? Why don't you add a folding cab? Why don't you let the engine compartment raise and lower on the backs of the machines? It's just extra stuff that is not needed. And I mean, there's some modders out there that go that far as to make every single engine component and piece move and shift exactly how they want it. And I got nothing against that. Power to the guys that want to do it. I just don't see the point. It doesn't change anything. I want to do things for the machines that make them, I mean, I like the visuals. I like them to visually look okay, but at the same time, I want them to be all the buttons on this that I have to configure. They better do something for the machine if I have to configure them. There's nothing worse than configuring buttons that don't do anything. It just feels pointless. So if I'm going to make you guys go through all the trouble of setting up all these controls and making all this stuff work, yeah, right here I'm getting the frame rate drop. That's wild. I wonder if it's just because there's all these tops interacting with these other things here. Really doesn't feel like we have that many trees down here, but let's it's definitely physics. See, watch, as soon as I activate this pile, yeah, see, I'm down to like 17 frames. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grind up all of this crap here and see if that helps. That's wild. I didn't really think there's that many physics going on here, but apparently there is. Yeah, so anyway, I hope that answers that question for why the cabs do not tilt. It's just one extra thing I don't really think is required. And that's my opinion. See, that's the joy of FDR logging, is it's 100,000... Oh, so here we go, we fixed it. So it was that long tree interact... Oh, no, we didn't fix it. I thought it was that long tree interacting there. The joys of FDR logging is I can make decisions as my own modder, as my own thing. And you guys can either accept it and play with it or don't. That's really up to you. That's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah. So that is why the folding cabs are not a thing. Just because there's really no purpose for them, and I don't want to add the extra effort. Everyone's like, oh, he probably doesn't know how. It's so easy. It's so easy to do. It's just extra stuff for people to have to configure, and I'd rather not. But yes, it is very simple. Very simple. So let's keep processing. Again, I'm getting these frame rate drops, and I don't really know why. Let's check the physics here. Yeah, I don't know. So strange. Because I played this on the testing thing, and I never had a dip once. But I'm wondering if there's, like, something else going on here. There's always something going on. Hold on, let me close something here. I wonder if this has an effect on it. Is that? No, it's still frame rating. I had an app open that I didn't think would really make a difference, but figured I'd try it. Okay, so the other subject people want to know about. It's somebody asked if I could do a thing talking about cut to length logging versus long logs. So cut to length is what these are. Short logs are considered cut to length. So short logs and long logs. And why do I pick long logs over short logs? When do I pick short logs over long logs? So I'll compare it to real life. So in real life, it really depends on what the mill wants. So if you have a mill that you are cutting wood for, sometimes they will have priority lengths that they want certain long lengths or they want certain short lengths. And depending on the quality of the wood, you will try to get as many long logs as you can out of that wood, and whatever is left that could not be turned into a long log becomes a short log. That's kind of how it works, at least up here with the mills. And then there's other situations where the mills just want short logs from your block, depending on your type of wood, depending on your setup. There's certain logging shows that only do cut to length. There's certain logging shows that do 80% shorts, 80% shorts and 20% longs, and vice versa, 80% longs and 20% shorts. I've seen lots of different variations for sure. So lots of different choices for sure, depending on what the mill really wants from you. So the question was what do I like to use in terms of my lengths? So right now I'm cutting to 7-meter logs. These are considered shorter, but maybe a little bit longer shorts. I'd say the 6-meter ones are closer to more common sizes. But the real question was, why do I choose longs and why do I choose shorts? What makes me decide it? So one, if you're on flat ground, really it doesn't matter. It's up to you. If you want to do longs, do longs. If you want to do shorts. That's entirely personal preference in a video game. Because I'm not cutting lengths for mills. This is me deciding what I would like to cut for the game itself. So, on flat ground, I'll do shorts, I'll do longs. I alternate too. You'll see me in other videos where sometimes I'll just get bored of cutting shorts and I'll switch to longs in the middle of doing stuff. I tend to be more interested in shorts because they're a little bit more fun loading short logs than long logs, just because it's easier to fill up the bunks and you got less overhang when you're loading. The other thing to determine is your area. So if you're working in a really crappy area, like a really not great area, like your roads are really tight and there's not a lot of room, I tend to stick to shorts. If I have like a really big open block and tons of room to play, that's when I'll switch to longs. Same if you're on hills and stuff. If you can't get your wood to a nice area where it's flat to cut it, depending on your space, I generally do longs because it's easier to keep it all together. Shorts can be a bit of a nightmare if you're loading shorts out of these weird little spots. But also, if you're, again, on a really weird hill and it's a small area, you don't have a lot of room, shorts are better because you can squeeze them into all the little holes and kind of hide them out. So it works a little bit better that way too. So really, it's determined on what you want to do in this game. It's not really based on a mill's quota or what a mill wants, any kind of stuff like that. But in this case, we got lots of open room. So, I mean, I could do longs right here if I wanted to. I could do shorts right here if I wanted to. But as you'll see in different areas that I log, if I'm on weird hills or, like I said, really cut back or switchbacky type roads and that kind of stuff, I'll generally do shorts just to kind of keep the space available. Because longs, you do need quite a bit of room, like roadside room, to pile them and deck them properly. Not saying you can't get crafty and make some interesting stuff too, but for the majority, you should be using the shorts and tighter spots. But yeah, I mean, go on YouTube, watch videos. Some guys, especially European loggers, all they do is shorts. There's no longs over there. Forwarders and processors and shorts. That's basically 99% of it. And all of their trucks bring in short logs to the mills. There's very few places that I've seen that do longs in the European side. Not saying there isn't, just I have not seen a lot of it in my personal exploration of it all. So, but yeah, kind of up to you what you want to do. Again, shorts I find easier to load. I find them way easier to load in terms. See, now my frame rate is back to normal. I don't know what the heck is going on. I wonder if it's getting like lag or something, lag spikes. Maybe it's because I'm away from this pile now. We got this one piece laying out here. I was actually wondering if hitting this piece was activating that pile and then activating the next pile and yada yada yada. And I love this mod still for cleaning up my stumps. A whole 20 stumps. Whew. Big ticket items here. So what I might do, maybe I'll just move down here to get away from these piles a bit. We'll start cutting kind of around and down. My goal is I want to kind of cut... Oh, autosave. Nice. It's probably good we have that because if I didn't, I'd probably overwrite. I kind of am going to cut... maybe I'll cut straight through and then we'll just make a line here and we'll cut this side out. And then eventually I want to move up into here and then over into the swamp. We're just going to kind of move around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down. We're going to cut everything on the right side of the road is my goal. Again, that's the goal. That doesn't mean we'll achieve it, but we're going to try. We'll try our best. But yeah, cut to length is easier to load. Visually, you can see both ends of the log, the top and the butt, when you're loading, especially in this game, because in real life, you have a lot more visibility for doing long logs. I find in this game, loading long logs is a bit of a pain in the butt. You have to load kind of on a 45. Otherwise... you can't really see the tails of the logs, like the tops of the logs while you're loading, which can be just an absolute pain in the biat. Okay, so I'm going to start piling these randomly like here. And we could skid these or we can just walk to them. It really doesn't matter. I tend to, in single player, just walk to all my piles with my processor and just do them where they are as opposed to skidding them all to one location, just because it keeps them a little further apart from each other so that they deck nicer. We get one more in there, you think? Ooh, it's gonna be testy. Oh, we get her. Oh, I think we just got it. Oh, thinking about it. Oh. Come on, little buddy. I think we just kind of got it. We were gonna dump that before it's too late. Oh yeah, we got it. I was a little overzealous for my grab there, but yeah, we're gonna see if we can bump this a little. Come on, turn. There you go. I don't like when they cross each other like that because then they start to glitch out. So if you just kind of press them into the pile a bit. See this one's underneath it? We don't want that. There we go. There, that's better. Keep them uncrossed. So down here, maybe I'll do some long logs. We'll do that next here. So this is kind of, I think they called it beechwood or something for these trees. I say it looks like alder, but that's me. Hard to hang on to these guys. They're slippery. So these guys I might cut into longs just to be different. They got a little bit of weird wiggle to them, but not too bad. They're fairly straight as far as trees go in this game. And they're not too heavy, so you could probably get quite a few of them on a truck. It's almost like poplar. Similar concept. So yeah, like I said, we're going to kind of just walk back and forth and we'll hit this whole side. We can probably take out the whole side, I think. We'll just go back and forth until it's all gone. That's kind of how I usually roll. Ooh, there's a big boy. Whoop. So we'll start a new pile right here because we're kind of closer to this timber. And we'll give that a little bump there. I generally cut or turn the buncher head off when I swing into the pile so that I don't chop the logs accidentally. But you can also use the tongs on the buncher head as well. So these big heavy ones, just be gentle with them. The buncher head's a lot easier. Now with the machine weights being up a bit, they're a little bit easier to control, but you still got to kind of take her easy just a little bit. Don't want to get too crazy up in here. And I try to stick, like I said, within my my ranges of reach. Don't try to go too far outside of it, just because then you're backtracking lots. And once you hit that row, you're going to be back up there hitting that row again, so don't worry about it. Turn into a bunching episode. Okay, so we'll cut this one. I'm going to move that processor down just to get us kind of in line here. We'll just leave that guy there hanging all weird like. So yeah, we'll do longs down here, and then when we get to the ugly hills, we'll start doing a little more shorts just to kind of change it up a bit. So got a few piles of shorts. And we'll go down the hill. So what are we set at? We're at 7 meters now. Let's do... I want to say we probably get 14s out of these. We're going to try 14s and see how it goes. Let's make one big pile of 14s right here, and we'll see how the cookie crumbles. And I will explain to you guys as I go here why I think the shorts are more fun to load. It's like it seems weird for some people. They absolutely love shorts, and then other people absolutely hate them. They're like, oh, I'll do longs all day before I do stupid shorts. I think just because the shorts may be a little more complicated, I guess, loading them. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so let's make a pile right here. We're gonna put our tops kind of right here. And always starting a pile is kind of the worst part because you're kind of setting up your line and you don't really know where your logs are going. You got to kind of just get it. And then once you get a pile kind of half working for you, then you're good to party, man. Because then they kind of slide over each other all nice. That's the joys of real life versus this game, because in real life you can pile lots of logs together. In this game, you hit the frame rate limits, and then you got to move on to another pile. So you never really get a real legendary pile of longs. So again, here we are with long logs yet again. And you see what I mean by, I can see the tops really well, but like with the long reach, it's hard for me to see down the end of where the ends are going. Same with processing. So I try to use my tops as kind of a guideline, even though they're in the grass, I can't really see them. But when you're loading, it's a lot harder to see where your tops are when you're loading, or your butts, depending on which end you grab. And I might talk about that a little more when we get to a loading phase. The loading phase will probably be several episodes away because it's going to take some time to clear all this stuff. Going to take a little bit of time. And you know me, I like to have like 50 million piles of loaded or processed decks before I start loading. Conserving my wood for the loading experience. Because I love loading, and if I load too much, then I won't have any wood left. Yeah, it's so strange. Now my frame rate is like perfect. So I must have just had too many physics tapping into each other there or something. I don't know. That was really weird. But it's all good. I should actually process that one other pile. I think there was another one right above me before I came down here. But that's okay. We'll get to that one. Don't you worry. We'll get back up there before we know it. So again, it's up to you how many you want to put in a pile. If you do these kind of like little mini piles, it works out pretty good. Again, you can also skid this stuff forward if you want a little bit bigger. You could probably do at least double what I got here without any frame rate issues. But these little piles are fine too. Fill up a little long logger truck. I'll probably get that other long logger truck. You can use the hay racks for loading logs, but I prefer that little pole style one. The pole style, the fake pole style one. All right, we're going to finish this pile, and I think we're going to be out of time here in this episode. I can't believe how fast 25 minutes go by. It shows you how much I talk. I can just go. As long as I have a subject. Otherwise, I just spin in the dirt, and I don't know what to talk about. And I'm like, well, watch me log now. All right, there we go. Okay, so there we go. We talked about some interesting stuff. What did we talk about today? We talked about the reason why the high cabs do not fold down. Sorry, but there's just, yeah, anyway, you know now. And we also talked about long logs versus short logs. I prefer short logs, but I'm okay loading longs as well. Short logs are just way more fun for the loading experience for me, especially depending on what grapple you have. But yeah, you know what? You do what feels comfortable to you. You can do 4-meter logs or you can do 20-meter logs. Whatever you are comfortable with. That's the way to do it. And in one of these episodes when I'm loading, I'm going to go over why I prefer short logs, and I'll show you guys visually as I'm doing it, the way I load and the way I park my trailers so you can see them better visually as well. I may have already kind of covered that stuff in previous episodes, but we'll do it again. Why not? Circle of life. Let's remake some content. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.